Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs, and I am the designer of the Stripology Ruler by Creative Grids. In this video, I'd like to show you some more tricks using the Stripology Ruler, such as cutting in 1/4 inch increments, cutting 60-degree diamonds, as well as using your ruler for working with 10-inch pre-cut squares. If you haven't watched our first Stripology 101 video, I encourage you to do so first, because that will give you all the basic instructions in using the Stripology Ruler. So let's get to it. What I want to show you today is using the 1/4 inch line that's to the left of the zero slit to cut in 1/4 inch increments. I'm also going to show you how you use that 60-degree line on the ruler for 60-degree diamonds, and then using that white 10-inch square outline for working with pre-cut 10-inch squares. So first we're going to start by cutting some 2 1/4 inch strips. That is my favorite cut to use for binding, and we're going to be working with full width fabric. So as I described in the video, first Stripology 101 video, we're going to take our bolt fold and we're going to fold it all the way over our selvages. Then we bring our ruler over, and you can get more details on how you line things up depending on what cutter you use in our first Stripology 101 video. But I'm just going to line it up, making sure that I get a good trim by going through the zero again. Now for whatever 1/4 inch cut you are making, you should refer to your Stripology ruler instructions that came with the ruler, because in there you will find a chart that tells you exactly which cuts to do for whatever 1/4 inch increment cuts you need to make. However, this is a little bit of a small scale chart, so I have, for your convenience, created a second one that you can download straight from my website, gequiltdesigns.com, under tutorials, and this will give you, kind of in a larger format, all the increments that you need to cut at, and I also added a bunch more units here. So make sure you go to my website and print that out, and you will have that. So for my strip width, I'm going to be cutting 2 1/4 inch strips. So my first cuts are going to be according to that first column. So I always start every cut by cutting through the zero. That is always our first cut, because that will clean off our edge and give us a really good starting point. And now I'm going to go to my chart. So I'll be cutting through the 4 1/2, 9, 13 1/2, and 18. So I just look for those units, and that's the slits I'm going to be cutting through. 4 1/2, 9, 13 1/2, and 18. After that, I am just going to remove that first little sliver that I trimmed off from my fabric. Remove that, and then I'm going to slide the ruler over to the right. So now that my clean cut fabric edge is now lined up with that 1/4 inch line to the left of the zero. And then I'm going to go back to my chart and go over to the second column and look at the cuts I need to make for my second cuts. That is going to be 2, 6 1/2, 11, and 15 1/2. So that's where I go in and follow those directions. And 15 1/2. My fabric is not quite big enough to cut through that last one, which would be the 20. But as I did now, you saw those first cuts were created, and now the second cut, I pretty much cut in between those first ones. So now I have my perfect cut strips, 2 1/4, ready to bind my quilt. So really easy. So that will work with whatever 1/4 inch increment you need to cut, and works really great. So for subcutting these, you would really do the exact same thing. Go back to the Stripology 101 first video to show you how I do my subcuts, and these would be handled just the same as I did with the strips. You would make your first cuts, remove the sliver you trimmed off, slide the ruler over, and make your second cuts for cutting squares and rectangles. So now we're going to move on to cutting diamonds. So first off, I'm just going to be cutting the strip, a 2 1/2 inch strips, into 60-degree diamonds. So you want to take your strip and you want to just lay it kind of diagonally on your cutting mat, kind of mimicking the angle of the 60-degree line on the ruler. So then I take that line and I align that at the bottom of my strip. And I also want to make sure that all the raw edges, or the selvages in this case, of the strip are going to be to the left of the 0 slit. And once I have things lined up, I'm ready to cut. And this is a 2.5 inch strip, so I want to make sure that I'm cutting in 2.5 inch increments. In that case, I have my little square markings on the ruler, so I don't have to really do any math. I can just look for my squares and start cutting. And I will follow the squares and keep cutting until I run out of ruler space. As you can see, the strip extends the ruler, so this next cut I'm not going to be able to make it all the way through. So in that case, I actually just remove that first little sliver of fabric and I slide my ruler upwards so that now my ruler is lined, or my 60-degree line is lined up with the top of the strip. And then also I will make sure that the first cut, cut that I did, is going to be lined up with the 0 slit line. Every single slit on the 1 inch has that line extending down, so that makes it so easy to line things up. And then I make sure everything is straight. The 60-degree line is lined up with the top of the strip. So now I can go back into and finish my cuts at 15 and 17.5. And this way I have my 60-degree diamonds ready for whatever project. Now these diamonds could be done from an already pieced strip, and that is what I did in my book, Stripology Square, for my Velocity quilt, and I wanted to show you how that is done. So for the Velocity quilt, you make these pre-pieced strip units, and then you will lay those on your cutting mat, kind of angled in that 60-degree angle as well. I'm going to flip actually this way. And I make sure that these seams are nested. Now for this quilt, I needed to have one laying face up and the second strip set face down because we want to be cutting mirror images. And then I bring the ruler over and using that 60-degree line to line up with the bottom of one of the strip units. And then also I'm going to look and see where that first cut is on the 0, making sure that that's going to catch the edge of both. And these are actually cut into, I believe, 3.5 inch increments. I start going through the 0, and again, following the directions in the book. And these are in my Stripology Squared book, which is all of the projects in there are using 10-inch squares. So this way you'll get mirror image diamonds, which then are turned into really fun diamond blocks like that. So this you'll find in my Stripology Squared book. So now we're going to move on to that 10-inch square that we have marked outline on the ruler. I love this for using with any kind of 10-inch pre-cuts because we know that those pre-cuts are not always accurate. So some of them will have a pinked edge like this one, for example. So whenever I'm working with a pre-cut from a fabric company, I always at least check them to make sure they're accurate. So how to do that? I just stack up my squares, however many I'm comfortable cutting at the same time. And then I will bring the ruler over and align that 10-inch square right on top of the stack, approximately centered. You want to center it as well as possible. And then if you see that some of that pinking edge is sticking out, what I do, I just go right through the 0 and the 10, and I repeat by turning my unit, and as you can see there's a little sliver trimmed off, and then I repeat by aligning. Now I have these two cut edges, so now I can line that line directly on the top and bottom, center it again, and go through the 0 and the 10, and now you know that you can work with perfect 10-inch squares to start with. But I'd love to show you some more ways that I use that 10-inch marking on the ruler, and I did that with multiple techniques in my Stripology Squared book. So I want to show you this one video for one of the quilts in the book. It's called Fractions. Enjoy. this video showed you how easy it is to cut in 1/4 inch increments using the Stripology ruler, as well as to show you how all those extra markings on the ruler work great to help you out with diamonds or using that 10-inch marking for whatever project you're working on. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you the little sister of the Stripology ruler. She's called Stripology Squared. That ruler is designed to be a perfect tool for squaring up blocks any size up to 12.5 inches, and I'm excited to show you how that works. Thank you for joining me.